Good evening and welcome to another episode of G Sport Live. Tonight I have an exciting show for you and I am joined by two wonderful guests. I am your host, Babsie. I am joined today by our G Sport Newsroom Content Lead Celine Abrahams and the G Sport founder, Kass Naidoo. This is the Power of Recognition edition as we have the MOMENTUM GSPORT AWARDS 2022 nominations are finally opened. We opened them up this afternoon. Kass, how's it going?
Oh, Babsie, it's so good to be on G Sport Live. As you mentioned, the Power of Recognition campaign finally launched today. Nominations opened just after 1 p.m. The radio stations have been calling, and the preferred link for everyone to think about until the 9th of August is gsport.co.za/nominations, because Celine will tell you about the number of stories she and her team are busy with in the newsroom to ensure that the public has the right number of people they can put forward for nomination.
Celine, tell us more about the newsroom and how people can use that as an inspiration for them to get their nominations and who they would want to nominate.
Babsie, the G-Sport newsroom is pumping. We have incredible stories from rising stars to all your experienced sportswomen who are out there smashing barriers across the globe. So I would like to encourage everyone out there just to go to gsport.co.za and you'll find inspiring stories that the G-Sport newsroom team has put together, and you can put your names forward. Nominations across 20 categories. Incredible. I'm telling you now, you'll find incredible ladies to put forward for nominations.
And that is very true. The G-Sport newsroom tells a variety of stories from young, old, experienced, inexperienced, and we're building those profiles. How do they nominate? Celine.
So yes, as I said, gsport.co.za, we have an awards category tab, and you'll find Vote Now, where you can actually go and you'll see the 20 categories where you can just put forward your name, and also remember that you need to register your own profile on gsport.co.za. Quite simple. You go to gsport.co.za/login, create your profile, put your email address, and then, as I said, go to the awards page, vote now, and that's where you'll find the categories where you can nominate. Very easy. And also, if you do come into some kind of problem, Celine Abrahams at gsport.co.za, or even DM us on social media and we will help you out wherever we can.
We are G-Sport for Girls across all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. The other big news that we have today, the Banyana Banyana announced their AFCON squad. How would you feel about that, Celine? Tell us more about the talent that we have been seeing lately with Banyana Banyana.
I'm super excited with Banyana Banyana at the moment. The head coach, Desiree Ellis, has put together a really formidable squad of very experienced players. We see international stars headlining the squad. And I'm really excited to see the new names coming in. Your likes of Delia Smith from Mamelodi Sundowns Ladies, she's in the team. Quite incredible just to see the young stars being put into the squad where they can go out into the continent and actually showcase their talents. I'm really excited, looking forward to seeing what Banyana Banyana can actually come up, against the big guns, against Nigeria, which I think is most of the talking point at the moment. So we're really looking forward to see what's going to happen.
We are rooting for them. Now let's hear from one of the ladies who is part of that squad, Nthabiseng Majiya.
Okay, so my reaction towards being part of the Banyana Banyana team, playing the AFCON in Morocco, I can say it's a big thing for me because I missed like 4 camps or 3 camps last year and this year. So this year I did my best, like putting effort, doing extra trainings, like questioning in programs, doing extra trainings, doing runs to prove them that I want to do better, that I want to come back stronger and impress them. Well, as you see that I'm on the 23, I made it and I'm very happy for it because I'm the youngest. And so, how can I say? I can't express actually because I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Women in sport are definitely thriving. This past week rather, I was at the TNL and it was so exciting. Did you see how lit our social media was?
Well, the reason why you can't get your words out right now is because you were the absolute energy of the TNL. I was saying to Celine, because we were busy prepping for nominations, I was like, have you checked out hashtag TNL is back? Because Babsie is all over it. What was the experience like for you to be at a major women's sport event and to see all those crowds coming in? Hashtag one more time.
It was amazing. From the start, from day one, Wednesday, right through to Sunday, the passion that those girls have on the court, the talent, the athleticism, as well as the coaching staff and everyone around them. It was so amazing to watch, especially in the final. And on Friday we had a final before a final, that Stings and Jaguars match that
was a
went
great game.
to sudden death. And when the Stings were ahead by 9 points, we thought, wow, the Jaguars are not going to go and defend their title. But they said no. They said no. So that whole experience of it, and then having the Fireballs win that historic moment, their very first final and their very first title. Cinderella story, just like the Alus, unbeaten this season, and they went on to fight right through to the end. And the way that they had the mental strength and the physicality in them, because they played consecutive games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That takes stamina, right?
It does.
It does, really.
And how they managed to make sure that even for that promotion relegation match, they were in there. Their coach, Samisha, really found a way to maneuver and rest them in between to make sure that they get into that Division 1. So TNL was exciting. Telkom is such a great sponsor for netball. They have done so well. And I think the coverage that SuperSport also did on there, Netball South Africa is doing so well. And hopefully in the future, we can see more contracts being issued for professionalism and making it a huge sport.
She sounds like a netball
She
correspondent.
does, eh? Really, she is super exciting. And Babsie, just on that, I mean, your first time actually being part of a tournament and being there every single day, how was that for you?
It was exciting. There was a lot of learning that I took out from there. There were so many learnings, and just taking it one day at a time. Whatever it is that I missed on day one, I made sure that day two I got it. Day two, we go into day three, and just picking up and seeing how the tournament is run and the different elements that go into it. But the one thing I really enjoyed the most was that fan interaction, seeing those young girls. And how inspiring it must be to say one day I will be on that court.
And Netball World Cup coming up, and you're in Cape Town at the moment.
Yes.
I'm sure the city is buzzing. From a South African perspective, you almost get a sense there's some great energy in the netball circles at the moment, don't you?
There is, definitely. I mean, as Babsie said, you see these young girls coming to the tournament. There's so much excitement in them, and I really can't wait to see what's going to happen next year at the World Cup and having that ICC filled, with supporters. So I just want to encourage everyone to take what we've learned now during the Telkom Netball League and bring that into the World Cup. It's going to be a really exciting time to see the growth of netball in this country.
Yeah, TNL was a great build-up to the Netball World Cup and the support that's garnering in from fans on all spheres. And I love the fact that it is not gender specific. Both men and women are enjoying the netball. So please, every Friday, hashtag Netball Friday, rock those t-shirts in support of our girls building up to the World Cup.
Certainly looking forward to that.
Exciting times ahead. Going into the power of recognition, we have an exciting interview for you this evening where Kass Naidoo speaks to NATALIE Du TOIT. How did that go?
Oh, I'm such a fangirl. I really am. I've known Natalie for all her career, and she's won a number of times on the Momentum G Sport Awards stage. I was actually nervous to contact her for the interview. That's how scared I was. But I have to say that this is one of the most special interviews I've done, because it's from someone who, after years after retirement, is still evergreen and showing the young ones just what it means to be a top brand.
Let's go into that interview. Stay tuned.
She is one of South Africa's, here we go again, 3, 2, 1. She is one of South Africa's greatest ever sports people. She's a former winner on the Momentum G Sport Awards stage, and just recently, she's become part of a campaign by Nescafe Classic, which is called Made Strong. It's to celebrate the fortitude and the strength of South Africans from all walks of life. Our big interview today is with the iconic NATALIE Du Toit. NATALIE, it's so good to chat to you, and every time I think about you, I always think about how you inspire us so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Kaz. And I think, this is an awesome opportunity as well to inspire. And one of the big reasons why I wanted to get involved in the Nescafe campaign. And, each one of us has challenges. Each one of us has adversities. And I think it's important that, we don't just have a few that we think have overcome them, but we realize within ourselves that ultimately, we can overcome anything if we really put our mind to it. So I think, yes, a really special time. And, I retired quite a number of years ago. So I think, for me, it's awesome to look back, to see the sports people. And I think also, that inspiration for me to keep going forward as well.
I have to go back to the fact that you retired many years ago. It's your point, so I'm going to take it. And I'm going to say that still, you're one of the leading brands that big brands look at when they say, hey, we have a campaign. And someone that we believe is a good fit is still someone like NATALIE Du Toit. How does it make you feel that not only are you still relevant, that you are still so part of South African society?
I think it's a big topic, because a lot of sports people achieve, and as a sports person, you always hear from people how they're going to forget about you in 10 years, 12 years time. I think I was really fortunate that I had a manager who created a brand, and that brand, was actually who I am, and what I am, and what I believe in as well. So I didn't really have to change anything, and I think that was really where the special part came in. As a swimmer, it's really tough to earn money. Obviously, we don't really earn money within the sport, so it is the likes of sponsorships, the likes of doing motivational speaking, and opportunities like that allowed us to pay our coaching fees, to pay our club fees, to pay our traveling fees. And I think with that, one also learns a lot in terms of, giving back when you receive. And I know that it was a belief that we always give back more than we ever receive. So that's something that I've lived with through my entire sporting career. And I think just fortunate that, something like that was built, and it wasn't just about sport. It wasn't just about being in the pool and swimming. I do a lot of other people's branding and marketing, so it's not so easy for me to do my own, and I'm not really that good at it. But I think, when a brand such as Nescafe comes to you and says, we'd like to see you for, the adversities, the challenges that you've overcome. I know I always speak about the tribe that's behind me, and the people that support me, and the people that have, and I can say it, that have made me who I am today. And, a lot of what sport teaches you also makes one who you are today. So I'm very, very grateful to be part of that. The brand is all about, made strong. And I always think that not everybody's made strong all the time, but we become stronger as time goes on. And as we meet people along the way, at the lessons that we learn. So yes, I think it's an awesome campaign. I know when they launched, there were amazing people speaking at this particular event, and we all have very different stories. And again, I was just this athlete that I swam and I was able to achieve a lot through my swimming career. And I think very fortunate in that manner, in that I walked away and thought, I couldn't have worked harder, I couldn't have achieved more, and I couldn't have put more time into something, and neither could my team. And I think from that perspective, it's teaching others that this is possible, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. And yes, I think just humbled by the opportunity to still be me and still be able to carry on and still be the swimmer, even though I try and run from it a lot of the time, and want to to be good at other things as well. But again, it's humbling, and it's also an inspiration for me in the rest of my life.
You talk about the support you've had, but I'd like to also say that you've played such a leading role in laying the path, in paving the way for brands to see sportswomen as athletes of value. And how does it make you feel now when you see the netball team getting pro contracts, when you're seeing other players landing big deals internationally, that you and Penny Haynes and the likes that came before this generation really led the way?
It's for me, I'm going to use the word beautiful, because it really is beautiful to see the growth. I know it is not as quickly as women would like to see it. In the disability side of things, when I joined disabled sport, it was really very, very little within this country. I was the only one in my class that swam nationals, so I swam against myself, and we could probably make one heat. And within 10 years, we had at least 2 to 3 heats of disabled. And I think, with women's sport as well, the more we speak about it, the more we don't just speak, but we start acting. And women start acting. Men also start believing in women and helping women. And I think for me to sitting and watching the sport on TV, and looking at our women's cricket team, looking at our women's rugby team, the netball team, and seeing how far they've come, not just within the sport, because I often see how they're playing the sport as well and how much they've improved, as well as the shift in mindset in terms of women's sport, within women's sport as well as outside of women's sport. And I think it's just beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see that in 10 years it's come this far. And I think really amazed at, what will happen in 10 years' time. And, as a woman, you always look back, and even though I played netball, I've never played rugby or cricket, but I think just to look back and because I haven't played it, I don't understand the game 100, 200%. Obviously, I also shout on the other side, pass the ball, or, bowl better, or whatever it is. But I think it's just beautiful to watch. And I think for me, it's looking at women, especially coming back into sport after South Africa wasn't allowed into sport. And we see the if I can call it fighting, it's not particularly fighting, but working towards, what we want to achieve or where we want to be. There's a handful, I think, of women that really go that extra mile. It's not easy. And often, one walks away feeling very disheartened and feeling like, you haven't really achieved anything, or you shouldn't really be there. And so I think those women that are in positions to take sport further, really do play a significant and really important role. And I think my message is really just to say, keep going, no matter how slow, no matter how fast. It's to keep going and to be proud and to strive to get to the lengths of a lot of the football women, with around the world, and the teams that are now equal pay. The equity is growing. So yeah, it's just beautiful to see. And I think to look back, and I don't really see myself too much as part of that, because swimming is a sport where we swim against time. And I always believe that I had to be so far ahead to be able to qualify for anything. And so as a woman, it was awesome to be on tours and awesome to be there. But you also know that, you know, you've been able to reach that mark. There's a lot of sports you can't reach that particular mark. So I think for us, it was a little bit easier than a lot of sports. But yes, you know, the understanding is still there. And I think if we put it on a level with disability in terms of the awareness, in terms of the growth, I think it's slowly but surely it will definitely get there.
You've achieved so much in your career, and we've so appreciated and enjoyed celebrating your success on a number of occasions on the MOMENTUM G Sport Awards stage. What does the power of recognition mean to you? I know you talk about swimming against times, but to be able to be recognized not just by your peers, but the entire South African women's sport community.
It's an interesting story. You know, I think as an athlete and a few years after you retire, having been nominated for awards, often, you know, it's not you that nominates yourself. There's a lot of, you know, people out there that nominate on your behalf. And you kind of realize afterwards, you know, sometimes you get nominated and you kind of think that it's a hoax, you know, someone's playing the fool. But I think that's, you know, many years later, one realizes that, hang on, you know, it was actually really special that someone nominates you and that you're part of awards. I think just being a part is something where is a platform where you have a voice. It's a platform where, you know, it kind of, in a way, says that you've kind of made it. And I think that's the inspiration. And I always talk about sport as a circle, right? So you compete, you achieve, and then you kind of get these awards, and it inspires you to keep going and keep working hard, and you start the cycle all again. And so while you're in a cycle, it really inspires you. And when you leave the cycle, I think it's even more special because you get to sit down, you get to think about it, you get to think about how, the why, the what, the where, the when, and the journey that you had to take to get there, and that others have seen that journey and, you know, are inspired by it. And I always say that, you know, now I can say something and someone might not really realize what I've said until that moment that they go through it or go through something challenging, and that those words will come back. And those words hopefully will be etched in their minds and be inspired by it. And I think the same for sport. You know, sport is not just about, for me, getting into a pool and swimming and working towards a goal and racing and achieving that goal and getting back into the pool and training again till the next goal. It's also the lessons of, you know, hard work, teamwork. It's the values that one learns as well. And so, you know, all of that sort of plays a massive role later in life once you've realized and come through the sport and really had a chance to look at it. So, you know, a platform, for example, G Sport Awards, I mean, I remember it really in its beginning stages, and how much it's grown and how many women are now involved, how many women are inspiring, the different categories that have come about. And for me to see that and to see that change and to see that growth has been special. And sometimes, you know, from far away and seeing the stories and seeing, you know, what's really happening. I think that's special, especially when you're in sport and you're fighting the fight, and you know the fight that one had to fight to be able to get there. And fight, I don't mean in a nasty way. I mean it in a way, you know, that we want to achieve, and we want to achieve our goals. So, you know, I think everyone who's working towards being better, to being, you know, better women, and not better women in a sense of being better as a woman, but being seen more, being recognized more, you know, being the ability to have roles of management, and not being too shy, I think, to go for those positions, especially when politics, etc., are involved. It's hard, but awards, I think, help in those aspects as well. And yes, so I think, you know, for me to look back, it's all been really special. Every award that one achieves, to look back and to not just see your growth, but to see the growth of the awards and to see the growth of the number of people and the people that are achieving the awards, and to see their journeys. You know, one often underestimates those journeys.
Certainly. What is your advice for success to young women in sport, whatever they're doing? Because I feel sometimes we think advice is meant for on field or on court and behind the scenes, but sometimes, as you say, someone could say something to you that could really shift you in the right direction.
If anybody had told me 20 years ago and given me advice 20 years ago, I think the advice, and I know that it was, someone tried to share this advice with me, but it didn't really land. And I think many years on, I realized, but the advice that I would give is don't let anybody dictate who and what you would like to achieve. Because when you're caught up in a situation, you might feel like you're not worth it. You might feel like it's never going to happen. And I was very fortunate that I had a team behind me that would work hard for me and want me to achieve my dreams and goals. But I think when certain situations happen, you really feel disheartened and you feel like, but I deserve it. Why am I not in a team? Why am I not, why haven't I been chosen? I should be there. And I think that's where you need to step back and say, but how can I get there? Rather than let that hurt you. And I think every sports person has been through this. Every sports person will go through this. And again, with that advice is to have a team that also supports you and supports those dreams and supports those goals, because it's not easy as a sports person. We all have different lives. We all have different family life or study life or, sporting challenges that we go through. But it's to really have that team. And I always say, the tribe that one has. And I think from that perspective, those work hand in hand together.
I love chatting to you because I just feel that there's so much about you that we still want to know, and I feel like I can talk to you for hours, but obviously I can't. What I want to leave you with is a final question, which is, you've achieved so much, you continue to achieve and enjoy your life. Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years in the sense of enjoyment, not necessarily accomplishment?
I think enjoyment definitely comes in with accomplishment. I think you once a sports person, always a sports person.
I didn't want to put you under pressure, but I felt like I had to ask you because asking the great NATALIE Du Toit, well, what more do you want to achieve? Sounds a little bit crass, but really, I know that you're very competitive and probably compete with yourself a lot.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge is competition with myself. As a swimmer, everybody says it's an individualistic sport, but actually it's more a team sport than anything. So, it was us working hard as a team together to be able to, as many of us qualify for the games as possible, to swim better times in training, etc. In life, swimming was something that I could control to a degree, because it was the hours in the pool, we could achieve more, or the harder we put in, the results in training always showed in competition. And life is not that easy, right? So it is, growing oneself. It is ultimately, trying to believe that your growth is also on par, and that you know less, I think, than anybody else. Because when I retired from sport, I had chosen to give up so much of life to be able to achieve, what I did in the swimming pool. So I was a lot older, retiring from sport and going through everything that everybody else had gone through, probably 10 years younger than what I did. And so I think for me, success goes hand in hand in achievements, and being happy. And I think everybody wants to see the family. Everybody wants to study. And I think in the stage that I'm in, it's really about growth and growing where my knowledge, growing my abilities, my skills. And I think from that perspective, and there's also understanding that I'm a sports person, and I've always been a sports person, and I have those values and those traits of sports people that, there are some team members that don't always have all those traits. And sometimes one can get really frustrated when, for example, you would work 24/7 to try and, get something done. And it might not be in work hours, for example. So I think that's where that's what success is to me, is being adept at skills that I need in the work that I would like to do, and still finding your feet. In the line that I work in, it is very much a shifting environment, and I think a lot of jobs currently shift tremendously from COVID, different styles of work, etc. So yes, and I think from that perspective, I wanted to get involved, and I'm going to bring back the campaign here, because ultimately campaigns are part of my job and part of what I do. And so to be on the other side is really precious, and to be able to understand it from both sides, and to grow from that side as well. And at the same time, try and inspire myself in return, by the other ladies that are within the campaign. I mean, they're amazing, going out there doing amazing things. And I think it's a massive platform for people to speak up and, to share their adversities, to share their challenges and get through them. And I think, yes, it's a time where it's not just about speaking, but it's about acting and just constant growth. For me, that's success. So yeah, hopefully we get there. Hopefully I can use the values that I've learned within sport to keep going. I don't have such an active role in sport, but I love to watch it. I love to follow. I love to, support in my own little way, and, give back in ambassadorship roles, and in campaigns. And that's still something that's really special to my heart. So yes, to grow. What is growth? I think everyone is different, but for me, it's for me to know that I've done a job well, that I've grown a brand, and that brand has the opportunity to grow further.
Wow. I can see why you were chosen for the Nescafe Classic Made Strong campaign. Not only are you strong and you're resilient and you have fortitude, but you're inspiring. And I think you will keep inspiring. And I think it's not going to be a long time before you're back in sport doing something that fills your heart and makes you grow and gives you success. Such an honor chatting to you on the big interview.
Thanks very much. And all the best to G Sport as well, and to the big interview. Watch some of the interviews. So it's really special, and what you're doing. So thank you for that platform. And I really do wish it well. It's grown tremendously. And to see that, I feel like an old lady. But to see it, it's really special. And I really, really wish you well.
Thank you so much. NATALIE Du Toit, icon of South African sport.
What a great way to kickstart our nominations being open with such a powerful interview from a legend and a former Hall of Famer of the G Sport Momentum Awards. We have honored legends. We have honored so many legends on the G Sport stage. And the power of recognition. You hear her talking about how G Sport is such a great platform for women in sport to shine. And how do you feel that we can move it more forward?
Definitely from my side is telling more stories of our women in sport. I mean, you look at NATALIE Du Toit, for example, she's paved the way for our young stars who are coming up today. And we've told her story on G Sport. We've honored her. And it's about time that we do it for the next generation that are coming up and our rising stars. Tell more stories. That's my way of actually closing that visibility gap and paving the way forward.
Talking about closing the visibility gap, there's always that conversation of opening up the industry. And you are one person who's all for opening up the industry, but it's not just limited to presenting. We need to open up the industry within sports, within sponsorships. Please help me elaborate there, Kass.
Lots of gaps. Lots of gaps to be filled. And I think that's the aim of G Sport is find a gap and plug it.
Yeah.
Find a gap and plug it. And every time you progress, you find more gaps to fill. I like what Celine said. Unless we tell new stories, we're going to honor the same people all the time. For us, the power of recognition is, can we have someone win on the Momentum G Sport Awards stage and then take that accolade and go on to do greater things? Someone who's done that is Karabo Mokhalagadi. She won Women in Radio, and shortly afterwards, she was announced as the first ever women's sport editor at UFM. We had Motlatsi Kekabile, who was inducted into the G Sport Hall of Fame. Shortly afterward, she was elected Vice President of Athletics South Africa. So when we talk about opening up the industry, it's not just about new names, it's about new opportunities to sometimes honor people who've never got that. But my favorite part about opening up the industry is this. This is my favorite part, because people like us who've been around for far too long that we care to remember, we could sit here for a long time and hold the seat. But we can't open up the industry unless you find the experience regularly enough to come better at it. So how have you found the last couple of weeks? Because you often say, I throw you in the deep end. You have found proper deep ends in the last couple of weeks.
One thing about you, Kaz, it's either you sink or you swim.
And you've been swimming. So I just want to let you know you have. And so have you.
Thank
You've
you,
been
Cass.
swimming.
Thank you.
Twitter Space Thursdays are going well.
It's been exciting, I won't lie. I mean, the opportunities, as I always say to you, your opportunity that you give to us, it really helps us along with our journeys. And for me, who's very shy, I get to speak now. So that's very exciting because it helped me grow and see that just my strengths in a way, I can improve on actually. So thank you, Cass.
Well, absolute pleasure. And I just want to say, on opening up the industry, there are many opportunities coming up in the campaign. One of it will be Twitter Space Thursdays, the Power of Recognition edition. We will have former winners invited to come on and show their abilities as presenters. So I love opening up the industry. I think that if people like me can help someone like you, you will go on to help someone else. And that chain reaction is what stimulates growth.
The domino effect. And it's so exciting. That is going to kickstart this Thursday. A former winner will be hosting us on G Sport, the Twitter space. So stay tuned to see who is the lucky one who's going to kickstart this journey and this nomination that we are going for. Don't forget to get in there and get involved with us in nominating your favorite. Like we said, we are going in all spheres of life, young, old, inexperienced, even the supporter, those who volunteer.
Yes.
Go to the G Sport website for you to get an idea of the different categories that we have. We have 20 categories that you can choose from. And if you want your favorite to be nominated, go on and log on to G Sport website, create that profile, and make sure that you subscribe to our newsletter that comes out every Wednesday. That's our favorite day of the week.
It is our favorite day of the week. I think every day is going to become a favorite day now with this campaign. I mean, you speak about the 20 public categories. If you look at every category, you could think about 10 or 15 or 20 different people to put in there. I think it's going to start getting very challenging when nominations close on the 9th of August. And when we announce finalists and voting starts, August is going to be a real party for women.
Exactly, it is.
It is. And it's going to be very competitive because we have so many great names that could be up for nomination.
Can I give a shout out to two very important women?
Yes, please.
Nontokozo Madansela and Charlotte Nsubuga Makasa. You know, it's often said, in order to have powerful decisions made for women's sport, you need powerful women leaders in the boardroom. And if it weren't for these two powerful women supporting and endorsing G Sport, we wouldn't have got the partnership underway in 2019. And this year starts a brand new 3-year partnership. So congratulations to Momentum for their support of women's sport. And thank you to Charlotte and Nontokozo, who have made us grow through the She Owns the Success campaign. We love that campaign.
We do. We certainly do. I mean, She Owns the Success actually makes you sit back and boldly own what you've been doing. So congratulations, and also thank you to Momentum for backing us as women in sport. We really appreciate their support.
One step at a time. Momentum is doing amazing. And the fact that they're also the sponsors of the Momentum Proteas, who are flourishing.
I am so excited for them. They have a one-off test starting on the 27th of June. There's ODIs, T20s to come, Commonwealth Games, the 100. Cricket is pumping, netball's pumping, Banyana Banyana. I mean,
yes,
it's
exactly.
Just like the flavor of the month, the year, just everything right now.
Every single day.
Women's sports, it just makes the world so much better. be sure to make that you get the hashtag GSport17 for this year's Momentum G Sport Awards. We are so excited for this year's campaign. Get involved, make sure you nominate and use our hashtags on all our social media. We are G Sport for Girls across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hashtag GSport17, hashtag she owns her success, because we do own it. And that is it for this installment of G Sport Live. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to my beautiful guests.
Thank
Been
you.
wonderful being here.
Cheers, guys.